This is a unique item which was never ever discovered in archaeology of Jerusalem or the land of Israel. After approximately 500 years, the Jews are finally allowed to return to Jerusalem.
Ancient history, modern AI, and a discovery that could change everything we thought we knew. For thousands of years, the Temple Mount has been one of the most sacred and restricted sites on the planet. Legends speak of hidden chambers, sealed passageways, and secrets buried deep beneath the stone. Now, using advanced AI analysis and underground scanning data, GROK has peered below the surface, and what it uncovered is leaving historians, archaeologists, and believers completely speechless. Watch till the end. This discovery changes how we see history itself.
This site in Jerusalem's Old City is sacred to two religions. Muslims believe it's where the Prophet Muhammad ascended to heaven. Jews revere it as the site of two biblical temples. It's known as both Haram al-Sharif, the noble sanctuary, and Temple Mount,
the forbidden ground. The Temple Mount sits in the heart of Jerusalem's Old City, covering about 35 acres of some of the most contested and sacred ground on the planet. To Jews, it's the site where two ancient temples once stood. To Muslims, it's home to the Dome of the Rock and Al-Aqsa Mosque. To Christians, it's where Jesus walked and taught. But here's what makes this place truly fascinating. What's beneath it remains one of archaeology's greatest mysteries. You see, the Temple Mount isn't just a flat platform. Archaeological evidence shows that King Herod the Great expanded this site around 19 BCE, essentially building a massive platform supported by retaining walls. These walls still stand today, with the Western Wall being the most famous. But here's the mind-blowing part. Beneath this platform lies a complex network of chambers, tunnels, cisterns, and passageways that have barely been explored. Why haven't we fully explored what's down there? Politics and religion. The site is administered by the Islamic Waqf, and any excavation sparks international controversy. Direct digging on the Temple Mount itself is essentially impossible. This makes the underground spaces beneath one of the last great archaeological frontiers on Earth. For centuries, people have wondered what secrets hide in the darkness below. Ancient texts mention underground passages and hiding places. Medieval chronicles describe tunnels used during sieges. But until recently, we had no way to see what was really down there without breaking ground. That's where cutting-edge technology comes in. Modern researchers have turned to non-invasive methods to peer beneath the surface. Ground-penetrating radar, thermal imaging, seismic surveys, and even cosmic rays are being used to map what lies hidden. The results? Absolutely astonishing. These technologies are revealing chambers that haven't seen human footsteps in 2,000 years. The early explorers. The story of exploring beneath the Temple Mount begins in the 1860s, during a time when Jerusalem's water supply was dangerously polluted. A team of British surveyors arrived in September 1864 to examine the city's water problems. What they discovered changed everything we knew about the Temple Mount. Charles Wilson led the expedition, and he wasn't just looking for water. As he investigated the underground cisterns and tunnels, he made remarkable discoveries. Wilson found massive underground chambers some 9 feet below the Temple Mount platform, with ceilings reaching 23 feet high. These rooms were connected by arched doorways, suggesting a deliberate architectural design. But Wilson couldn't explore very far. The heat was stifling, and the stench unbearable. He documented what he could and moved on. A few years later, Charles Warren continued the work from 1867 to 1870. Warren was even more ambitious. He dug vertical shafts and explored underground passages, sometimes descending more than 100 feet below the surface. Warren discovered what's now called Warren's Gate, a sealed entrance about 150 feet into what would later be known as the Western Wall Tunnel. For centuries, this had been a small underground synagogue where Muslims allowed Jews to pray near the temple ruins. Warren also found bottle-shaped cisterns, some with floors 37 feet below the platform, with openings leading to other unexplored chambers. These early explorers worked with primitive tools by today's standards, shovels, ropes, and lanterns. They couldn't map everything they found, and many passages were too dangerous to fully explore. Their journals describe hollow sounds when tapping walls, suggesting even more chambers behind the stone. But then their work stopped, and for nearly a century, the underground world beneath the Temple Mount remained largely forgotten. The Western Wall tunnels. After the Six-Day War in 1967, Israeli authorities gained access to the Western Wall for the first time in decades. The Ministry of Religious Affairs began excavating along the wall, and what they uncovered was nothing short of extraordinary. This project would take nearly 20 years and reveal secrets that had been buried for 2 millennia. The excavations exposed 300 meters of the Western Wall's total 445-meter length. Workers carefully removed tons of dirt and debris that had accumulated over centuries. They discovered that the above-ground portion of the wall, which measures about 60 meters, was just a tiny fraction of the whole structure. The rest had been buried under residential neighborhoods, built on top of ancient foundations. Deep in these tunnels, archaeologists found the Western Stone, one of the largest building blocks ever moved by humans without powered machinery. This massive limestone block measures 13.6 meters long and 3 meters high. Based on ground-penetrating radar surveys, it weighs somewhere between 250 and 300 tons. How did ancient builders move such enormous stones? That question still puzzles engineers today. The tunnels also revealed a Hasmonean-era water channel dating back to the 2nd and 1st centuries BCE. This underground aqueduct supplied water to the Temple Mount through a complex system that included the Struthaion Pool, a large cistern that gathered rainwater. The engineering skill required to build such systems underground demonstrates the incredible capabilities of ancient civilizations. Walking through these tunnels today feels like stepping back in time. You can see stone vaults, arches, and chambers from different historical periods: Herodian, Byzantine, Crusader, and Ottoman. Each layer tells a story of Jerusalem's complex history. Tour guides point out luxury rooms from the Second Temple era, residential homes, ancient cisterns, and even a quarry where stones were cut from the bedrock. The 1981 incident. In 1981, something extraordinary and controversial happened beneath Jerusalem. Rabbi Yehuda Meir Getz, the rabbi of the Western Wall, had workmen clearing debris from Warren's Gate. But according to reports, this wasn't just routine maintenance. There were allegations that Rabbi Getz was trying to access the interior of the Temple Mount itself. The story gets even more intriguing. Arabs on the Temple Mount reported hearing banging sounds coming from one of the more than 24 cisterns above. They realized someone was digging from below. Word spread quickly, and tensions exploded. Israeli government officials, upon learning of the unauthorized breach, immediately ordered Warren's Gate sealed. Why was Rabbi Getz so determined to break through? According to Jewish oral tradition, the Ark of the Covenant, the golden chest containing the tablets of the 10 Commandments, was hidden in an underground chamber beneath the Temple Mount, before the First Temple was destroyed by Babylon. King Solomon supposedly foresaw the temple's destruction and built secret chambers into the architectural plans. Whether Rabbi Getz found any evidence of the Ark remains a mystery. Israeli authorities filled the 2,000-year-old stone gate with cement, and it remains sealed to this day. The incident highlighted just how sensitive any exploration of the Temple Mount truly is. Even underground excavations can spark international incidents and religious disputes. The sealed gate represents one of archaeology's great what-ifs. What lies beyond it? Are there really hidden chambers containing artifacts from the First Temple? Without the ability to explore, we're left with tantalizing questions and no answers. This is why modern non-invasive technology has become so crucial for understanding what's beneath the Temple Mount. Ground-penetrating radar breakthroughs. In 1983, a team of American scientists brought sophisticated equipment to Israel that would revolutionize how we study ancient sites. Led by physicist Lambert Dolphin from SRY International in California, they introduced ground-penetrating radar technology that had been developed for defense applications. This equipment could see through solid rock and soil without disturbing anything. The team spent 6 weeks conducting surveys at various archaeological sites across Israel. Their main goal was eventually to use this technology as close to the Temple Mount as possible. But first, they needed to perfect their techniques at other locations. One Israeli archaeologist remarked that the equipment worked like magic, though Dolphin insisted it was simply applied physics. Ground-penetrating radar works by sending electromagnetic pulses into the ground and measuring the reflections that bounce back. Different materials, stone, air, water, soil, reflect these signals differently. By analyzing the patterns, scientists can create images of underground structures without digging. The limestone in Israel turned out to be surprisingly friendly to radar signals, allowing penetration depths of more than 100 feet in some locations. The team also used thermal infrared imaging to study the Temple Mount from helicopters and ground positions. Infrared cameras detect heat differences that can reveal hidden chambers, tunnels, or structural features invisible to the naked eye. The combination of radar and thermal imaging provided valuable information about subterranean features of the Temple Mount compound. However, the team faced significant political challenges. Their attempt to explore a rabbinical tunnel with geophysical equipment became front-page news in the Jerusalem Post. The story noted that using electronic devices to probe archaeological sites seemed to take the sporting element out of the exercise, like providing bullfighters with RPGs. But for scientists, the goal wasn't sport. It was preservation and knowledge without destructive excavation. The Muon Imaging Revolution. In recent years, Israeli physicists have pioneered an even more remarkable technology for exploring beneath Jerusalem, Muon imaging. This method sounds like science fiction, but it's based on solid physics. Cosmic rays from space constantly bombard Earth, creating subatomic particles called muons. These particles can penetrate deep into solid rock in ways that radar cannot. Physicist Erez Etzion from Tel Aviv University is leading the effort to use muon detectors to map underground voids beneath Jerusalem. The method proved its worth by revealing an unknown chamber in Egypt's Great Pyramid of Giza. Now, Etzion and his team hope to uncover similar secrets beneath the city of David and potentially near the Temple Mount itself. Here's how it works. Muon detectors are placed in low spots like existing tunnels, where they look upward. As moons pass through different materials, they behave differently. Solid rock absorbs more muons than empty spaces. By counting muons over time and analyzing their trajectories, scientists can create images of underground structures, essentially X-raying the Earth using cosmic rays. The advantage of muon imaging is that it can penetrate much deeper than ground-penetrating radar. The disadvantage is time. Detectors need to sit in place for months to collect enough data for clear pictures. The deeper you want to see, the longer you must wait. For depths of 20 to 30 meters, researchers need at least 2 to 3 months of continuous monitoring. Currently, 2 muon detectors are hunting for hidden voids in the city of David, just south of the Temple Mount. One detector faces north toward the Ophel area and the Temple Mount, searching for hypothesized tunnels. Another is positioned in a tight tunnel behind the stone-stepped structure, a massive Iron Age wall whose exact purpose remains debated. What the scans reveal. So what have these technologies actually found? The results are stunning. Ground-penetrating radar and thermal imaging have confirmed the existence of massive underground chamber systems beneath and around the Temple Mount. Infrared measurements taken from helicopters and ground positions reveal temperature anomalies that indicate hollow spaces. Researchers have identified what appears to be a complex network of passages at multiple levels beneath the platform. Some chambers date back to the First Temple period, 10th to 6th centuries BCE, while others were constructed during the Second Temple era, 516 BCE to 70 CE. The sophistication of this underground architecture is remarkable. One particularly intriguing discovery involves pentagonal foundation stones beneath the dome of the rock. Some archaeologists speculate these could be remains of a high place dedicated to ancient deities, possibly from when pagan worship occurred in the area. Ancient texts describe such elevated worship sites, and similar structures have been found at other archaeological sites in the region. The radar surveys also reveal extensive water systems. Ancient Jerusalem depended on these underground cisterns and channels for survival during sieges. The engineering required to carve these systems from solid bedrock, ensure proper water flow, and maintain structural stability demonstrates remarkable technical knowledge. Some channels connect to natural springs, while others collected rainwater from the platform above. What's particularly fascinating is the scale. We're not talking about a few small rooms. The underground network extends across much of the Temple Mount compound, with chambers at different depths connected by passages and shafts. Some chambers measure 23 feet from floor to ceiling. Others drop 37 feet or more below the platform surface. And many have never been directly accessed in modern times. The Temple Mount Sifting Project. Not all archaeological discoveries beneath the Temple Mount come from high-tech scanning. Sometimes, the evidence literally gets dumped in front of you. That's exactly what happened between 1996 and 1999, when the Islamic Waqf removed 300 truckloads of soil from the Temple Mount compound during construction of the underground El Marwani Mosque. Archaeologists were horrified. The removed soil contained artifacts spanning thousands of years, and it was simply being dumped in the Kidron Valley without any archaeological supervision. This material represented an irreplaceable record of the site's history, and it was being treated like garbage. But two archaeologists, Gabriel Barkay and Zaki Devira, saw an opportunity. In 2004, they launched the Temple Mount Sifting Project. They began the painstaking work of screening every cubic meter of the dumped soil, searching for artifacts that might otherwise be lost forever. The project continues to this day and has yielded thousands of discoveries. Each artifact provides a small piece of the puzzle about what lies beneath the Temple Mount. Among the finds are pottery shards dating from the 8th to 7th centuries BCE, the first such Iron Age artifacts directly associated with the Temple Mount area. These date to the First Temple period and align with biblical accounts of Solomon's temple. Researchers also discovered stone weights for weighing silver and a First Temple period bulla, seal impression, containing ancient Hebrew writing. The Sifting Project has recovered artifacts from virtually every period of Jerusalem's history: Canaanite, Israelite, Babylonian, Persian, Hellenistic, Roman, Byzantine, Islamic, Crusader, and Ottoman. Coins, jewelry, arrowheads, game pieces, decorative elements, and architectural fragments all tell stories of the people who once walked on the Temple Mount. Underground, chambers near the Western Wall. In 2020, archaeologists announced the discovery of underground chambers carved from bedrock near the Western Wall. These chambers had been hidden beneath a Byzantine-era building for roughly 1,400 years. The complex consists of a courtyard and 2 rooms connected by carved staircases at different depths. What makes these chambers particularly interesting are the details. Niches chipped into the walls likely served as shelves, storage spaces, door jambs, and lantern holders. The rooms show clear evidence of deliberate planning and construction, not just random cave formations. Artifacts found inside allowed researchers to date the system to approximately 2,000 years ago, the Second Temple period. But here's the mystery. Researchers aren't sure what these chambers were used for. Why would ancient builders expend enormous effort to carve living spaces from solid bedrock? The chambers are located about 120 feet from the Temple Mount itself, close enough to have served some temple-related function, yet their exact purpose remains uncertain. Some possibilities include storage for temple goods, housing for priests or workers, refuge spaces during sieges, or ritual purification areas. The Talmud mentions underground passages and chambers connected to temple operations. Perhaps these newly discovered rooms are part of that ancient infrastructure. Each discovery raises as many questions as it answers. The Byzantine builders who constructed the floor above apparently never knew these chambers existed. Or if they did, they chose to seal them rather than repurpose them. This suggests the chambers had been abandoned and forgotten long before Byzantine times. What caused people to stop using them? Was it the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 CE, or did they fall out of use even earlier? The cisterns and water systems. One of the most extensive features beneath the Temple Mount is the water storage system. Ancient Jerusalem had no natural freshwater source within the city walls, so residents depended on elaborate cisterns and channels to collect and store rainwater. More than 24 major cisterns exist beneath the Temple Mount platform alone. These aren't small structures. Some cisterns are massive chambers carved deep into the bedrock. The largest can hold hundreds of thousands of gallons of water. During the Second Temple period, when tens of thousands of pilgrims would flood Jerusalem for religious festivals, this water infrastructure was absolutely critical for the city's survival. Archaeological surveys have mapped many of these cisterns using non-invasive methods. They're connected by channels that directed rainwater from the platform surface down into the storage chambers. Some channels also connected to external water sources, like the Gihon Spring in the city of David. The engineering required to create such a system, ensuring proper flow and preventing contamination, is truly impressive. But here's where it gets really interesting. Some of these cisterns have additional features that suggest they served purposes beyond water storage. Charles Wilson and Charles Warren both reported finding openings in cistern walls that led to other unexplored chambers. Were these simply overflow passages, or did they connect to a larger network of underground rooms? The political sensitivity of the Temple Mount means these questions remain largely unanswered. Modern researchers can't simply climb down into these cisterns with cameras and survey equipment. The Waqf administration prohibits most archaeological work on the site. So we're left with tantalizing hints from historical accounts and whatever non-invasive technology can reveal from outside the complex. Ancient texts and underground secrets. What do ancient writings tell us about what lies beneath the Temple Mount? Surprisingly, quite a bit. Jewish texts, including the Talmud and various midrashim, describe underground passages, chambers, and hiding places. These weren't just mythical stories, they were based on actual knowledge of the temple complex. The Talmud specifically mentions tunnels running beneath the Haishal, the main temple building. It describes chambers used for storage, preparation of ritual items, and priestly functions. Some passages suggest that these underground spaces were extensive, forming a kind of subterranean city beneath the visible temple above. The priests and Levites who served in the temple would have known these passages intimately. Flavius Josephus, the Romano-Jewish historian who lived during the Second Temple period, also wrote about underground passages and hiding places. When the Romans besieged Jerusalem in 70 CE, desperate defenders used these tunnels to move around the city unseen. After the temple's destruction, Some Jews apparently hid in underground chambers, hoping to escape Roman forces. Medieval chronicles from various sources, Jewish, Christian, and Muslim, all mention underground tunnels and chambers beneath the Temple Mount. These weren't just legends passed down through generations. They represented institutional memory of real structures. Different religious traditions preserved knowledge about the underground network, even when direct access was impossible. One particularly intriguing tradition concerns the Ark of the Covenant. According to Jewish oral tradition, King Solomon foresaw the temple's eventual destruction and built secret underground chambers specifically to hide the Ark. Before Babylon's armies conquered Jerusalem in 586 BCE, priests supposedly moved the Ark to this hidden location. The tradition claims it remains there still, waiting to be rediscovered. The Ark of the Covenant connection. The search for the Ark of the Covenant has captivated imaginations for centuries, popularized by movies like Raiders of the Lost Ark. But beyond Hollywood fiction, serious researchers have attempted to locate this legendary artifact, and many believe it's hidden somewhere beneath the Temple Mount. The Bible describes the Ark as a gold-covered wooden chest containing the stone tablets of the Ten Commandments. It resided in the Holy of Holies, the innermost chamber of Solomon's temple, where only the high priest could enter once a year. When Babylon destroyed the temple in 586 BCE, the Ark disappeared from historical records. Its fate remains one of archaeology's greatest mysteries. Various theories place the Ark in different locations. Ethiopia claims to possess it in a church in Axum. Some believe it was carried to Yemen or South Africa. Others suggest the Vatican secretly holds it. But the most persistent tradition, supported by Jewish sources, maintains the Ark never left Jerusalem. It was hidden in chambers prepared specifically for this purpose beneath the Temple Mount. This brings us back to Rabbi Yehuda Getz's 1981 attempt to break through Warren's Gate. Some reports suggest he believed he was close to finding the chamber containing the Ark. Whether he actually found evidence or was following centuries-old traditions is unknown, because Israeli authorities sealed the passage before he could complete his excavation. An archaeologist named Vendell Jones, yes, the real-life inspiration for Indiana Jones, spent years researching the Ark's location. He traced it to the Judean desert east of Jerusalem and claimed to have found tunnels that might connect to the Temple Mount. While Jones never found the Ark, his research highlighted how much we still don't know about Jerusalem's underground network. Political and religious sensitivities. Understanding what lies beneath the Temple Mount isn't just an archaeological challenge, it's a political and religious minefield. The site is sacred to three major religions, and any excavation risks sparking international incidents. This reality fundamentally shapes what research can and cannot happen. The Temple Mount is under the administration of the Islamic Waqf, which has controlled the site since the Crusader period. After Israel captured the Old City in 1967, it allowed the Waqf to maintain administrative control over the Mount. This arrangement has created a delicate balance that prohibits Israeli archaeological excavations on the platform itself. Any attempt to dig on or beneath the Temple Mount immediately draws fierce opposition from multiple sides. Palestinians view such excavations as attempts to undermine Muslim claims to the site. Muslims globally see the Dome of the Rock and Al-Aqsa Mosque as holy sites that must remain undisturbed. Meanwhile, some Jewish and Christian groups want archaeological exploration to proceed, hoping to find evidence of biblical history. The 1996 opening of an exit to the Western Wall Tunnel sparked riots that left dozens dead. This tragedy demonstrated how seemingly minor archaeological decisions can explode into violence when they involve the Temple Mount. Since then, Israeli authorities have been extremely cautious about any work near the site. International organizations like UNESCO weigh in on these disputes, often adding more complexity than clarity. Different stakeholders have competing claims, historical narratives, and religious beliefs about what the Temple Mount represents. In this charged atmosphere, objective archaeological research becomes nearly impossible. What modern technology can't answer. Despite all our advanced scanning technology, ground-penetrating radar, thermal imaging, muon detection, and seismic surveys, we still have huge gaps in our knowledge about what lies beneath the Temple Mount. Technology has limits, and in this case, those limits are significant. Ground-penetrating radar can typically only see to depths of 100 feet or less, depending on soil conditions. Anything deeper remains invisible. The Temple Mount platform itself is built on bedrock with massive retaining walls, making it difficult for radar signals to penetrate effectively. We can see general structures, but fine details remain hidden. Thermal imaging works best on surfaces exposed to air and sunlight. It can detect temperature differences that suggest hidden chambers near the surface, but it can't reveal deep underground features. The technique is useful for confirming that spaces exist, but it can't tell us much about their size, purpose, or contents. Muon imaging, while promising, requires long observation periods and clear line-of-sight paths from detector to target. The cosmic ray particles need relatively unobstructed routes through rock. Complex underground geometries, with multiple chambers at different angles, make interpretation challenging. And we need more detectors. Currently, only 2 are operating in the City of David area. Perhaps most importantly, none of these technologies can tell us what artifacts might exist inside underground chambers. They can show us that spaces exist, but not what those spaces contain. Are there ancient scrolls, temple vessels, or historically significant objects hidden in sealed rooms? Technology can't answer these questions, only direct exploration can. Recent developments and future possibilities. The field of archaeological remote sensing continues to advance rapidly. New technologies developed for other purposes like autonomous vehicles, medical imaging, and space exploration are being adapted for archaeology. These innovations may soon give us unprecedented views of what's beneath the Temple Mount. Artificial intelligence and machine learning are revolutionizing how we analyze survey data. Instead of manually interpreting radar scans or thermal images, AI algorithms can now detect patterns humans might miss. These systems can be trained to recognize specific types of underground structures, distinguishing between natural caves, carved chambers, and architectural features. Satellite-based synthetic aperture radar, SAR, has recently been used to scan beneath Egypt's pyramids, revealing previously unknown chambers and passages. Similar technology could potentially be applied to Jerusalem, though the urban environment presents challenges. Buildings, streets, and modern infrastructure create noise that makes interpretation difficult. Quantum sensors represent another emerging technology that could revolutionize subsurface imaging. These ultra-sensitive devices can detect minute variations in gravitational fields, magnetic fields, and other properties that might reveal underground voids. While still experimental, quantum sensors could one day map entire underground networks with unprecedented accuracy. However, all these technological advances face the same fundamental obstacle: political and religious restrictions. The most sophisticated equipment in the world is useless if researchers aren't allowed to deploy it near the Temple Mount. Progress ultimately depends on finding ways to conduct research that all stakeholders can accept. The enduring mystery. After exploring all the technology, history, and discoveries related to the Temple Mount, we're left with a profound realization. This ancient site still guards its deepest secrets. Beneath those weathered stones lies a world that has barely been touched by modern exploration. What exactly is down there? We may not know for certain for many years, possibly generations. The underground chambers, tunnels, cisterns, and passages represent a time capsule of human history spanning thousands of years. Every civilization that controlled Jerusalem added their own layer to this subterranean puzzle. From the First Temple period through Roman, Byzantine, Islamic, and Crusader eras, each group left their mark below ground. What artifacts might be hidden in sealed chambers that haven't been opened in 2 millennia? Could there be ancient manuscripts that shed light on historical events? Are there temple implements, royal treasures, or religious objects waiting to be discovered? The possibilities are tantalizing, but they remain firmly in the realm of speculation. Some mysteries may never be solved. The political and religious complexities surrounding the Temple Mount mean that full archaeological excavation may never happen. Even if all parties somehow agreed, the risk of damaging existing structures makes extensive digging extremely problematic. We may have to accept that some secrets will remain buried forever. Yet the human desire to understand our past ensures that research will continue. New technologies will be developed, deployed, and refined. Scholars will analyze ancient texts for clues. Archaeologists will carefully excavate areas adjacent to the Temple Mount. Bit by bit, our picture of this ancient site will become clearer, even if it never becomes complete. Advanced scanning technologies like ground-penetrating radar, thermal imaging, and muon detection have revealed tantalizing glimpses of the extensive underground network hidden beneath the Temple Mount remains. We now know that massive chambers, ancient tunnels, and sophisticated water systems exist below the surface, many dating back over 2,000 years. But political and religious sensitivities mean we may never fully explore these spaces. The sealed chambers continue to guard their secrets, whether they contain simple cisterns, temple artifacts, or even treasures like the Ark of the Covenant. What do you think lies beneath the Temple Mount? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.